As the board chair of Michigan's Children, I am really excited to welcome everyone here today and to honor Denise Ilitch, who is a real champion for children. I, at the Skillman Foundation, have known Denise Ilitch for a long time. She sits on our board of trustees, and she is a tireless advocate for our most vulnerable kids, not just in Detroit, but across the state. She cares deeply about education, health, and welfare of all kids, and it is really exciting to have her here at our Heroes Night to be able to honor her, and in particular to honor her alongside Congresswoman Dingell, who is a champion for kids in her own right, has been a big part of Michigan's children's history and our direction. These two wonderful women are champions for kids, and we are very excited to have them both and to be able to honor them both tonight. For the last 3 decades, Michigan's Children has been an important voice and often the only voice for kids in the public policy realm in Michigan.
The thing I appreciate about Michigan's Children is they are the only organization that I have encountered across the entire advocacy community that exclusively represents children.
Well, Michigan's Children gives a platform and is a voice for advocacy, not only for family literacy, but adult education and children's education.
It's a challenge, probably the biggest challenge that I consider it to be, the linchpin of my life's work, the ability to direct and build Michigan's Children.
We have really utilized the budget basics that Michigan's Children provides. It's really helped our organization and our programs understand what's happening with the state budget on a regular basis.
You know, my history with the Michigan's Children goes back to the inception of Michigan's Children when it was created in the 90s. And at the time I was the director of an organization called Children's Charter of the Courts. And I was so happy to see Michigan's Children come on board because they were going to be, and they are today, a true independent voice for children's issues in the state.
In my tenure at the Early Childhood Investment Corporation, I have worked with Michigan's Children, in particular in the 0 to 3 space, and working together to bring stakeholders from across the state to attend some informational sessions on a range of issues for infants and toddlers like child care and home visiting and early on.
We've been fortunate through the Great Start collaborative work to really set a benchmark for our early childhood work. Our next venture is after-school programming, and with the collaboration of Michigan's Children through the Michigan After School Partnership, we think we can achieve just that potential. We're really looking at out-of-school time programming now. The number of hours that children spend in school is significant, but even more significant are the 18 hours out of school. We need to utilize and capture those hours for children and make them strong supports of our education network across the state. United Ways have always had an interest in early childhood programming. In Michigan, the start of the Great Start Readiness Program really looked to us as an opportunity to further and advance our work for pre-K children and give those children their first shot at a preschool education. Under the leadership of Michigan's Children, in collaboration with several Lansing organizations, we were able to achieve that in recent years. But it was thanks to Michigan's Children and their advocacy lead and their voice, and being a strong collaborative partner, not only for United Way, but for all those Lansing organizations, we were able to get significant resources back into Michigan's system. You know, whether it's been early childhood, whether it's been after school, whether it's been parenting programs, whether it's been our challenges in the foster care system, Michigan's Children's voice has come across to Lansing decision makers time and time again.
We know that having generational education is so important, not only for the future of our country, but also just for our society and our morals and our values. And investing in education is a great return on investment at many levels. We specifically have used some of the data that Michigan's Children and the Michigan League for Public Policy have put forth when we are communicating and speaking with legislators and community organizers in our area. And we provide them with the number of students that are low income or students that are disenfranchised or a part of a minority. And so specifically to our program, Michigan's Children has given us information that roughly 70% of our adult students that we work with are parents of school age or preschool age children. And so that has kind of given us a clearer picture on some of the barriers that our students are facing when they have children and they're not able to attend school. One of our students, her name is Sagal, and she has 7 children, and she is a new immigrant to the United States. And when we asked her to come and to speak in front of a room full of strangers and legislators, she was very nervous. But after she kind of thought a little bit further about it, she came to us and said that she'd be more than willing to do it because she wanted to show her children how important education is.
I'm glad to see the organization growing now. The needs for children are vast and complex, and they interface with one another. And so what Michigan's Children does, as I said, filling in those gaps, is it addresses complex needs, and often those kind of needs require a lot of understanding. Child advocacy is not child's play. It is, because you are focusing on children, it does not mean that what you're doing is easy, that everything you do is summed up by a smiley face. In fact, you are actually dealing with some of the most complex and difficult issues that you can be dealing with. We have made great impact, and I think sometimes the way of talking about the impact of Michigan's Children has to be through the stories we might tell. So
it just brings a greater awareness of the importance of education, and Michigan's Children has really been at the forefront of that.
I feel that anytime I've reached out to Michigan's Children, they've been very responsive. So whether it's to provide a resource, just to have a conversation, to help me understand something a little bit better, to come and meet with us, to help us think strategically about how we want to advocate for something or work on something locally and be in tandem with what's happening at the state level, they've been very responsive. I think when we can partner with an entity like Michigan's Children that works across the state and works very closely with policymakers, then we can have more of a united front, more of a critical mass.
Currently, at the Michigan Children's Trust Fund, we are the co-chapter with Michigan's Children for Prevent Child Abuse Michigan. And there are a variety of roles and responsibilities with that responsibility of being the state chapter. And the piece of it that Michigan's Children does so well in that relationship is the advocacy and the public policy work. It's a crucial piece of being a chapter. Well, when I think of the effectiveness of Michigan Children, one of the things that comes to mind is just the work that they do when the budget is being finalized, and the budget pieces that they put out in very clear and concise detail as to what's being covered in children's issues. They're able to compare it to what's being proposed by the governor versus what the legislature is proposing, where the opportunities are to speak to the legislature and advocate for aspects of that. They are just extremely good and detailed at that, and that's critical work if we're going to have real voices in that public policy arena on children's issues.
One of the things that I have appreciated with working with Michigan's Children is that the folks there are very, very passionate about their work, but they're also very knowledgeable. Their willingness to take a stand when other folks were not sure if they wanted to or not sure which way the political wind was blowing, I appreciate that. And it's one of the strengths that they bring to the work, kind of an unwavering commitment to pursuing policies that make a difference.
It is an honor to help lead Michigan's Children, an organization that has been fighting for children and families in Michigan for over 20 years. With your continued support, we will continue to lead that fight for the next 24 years and realize our goal of truly making Michigan a great place to raise a family and to be a child.